Andrew Bone, we have got to stop meeting like this. Hello, Alabama fans. Welcome to the BOL Recruiting Show. And we're back with another breaking commitment pod. As it's been lately, it's a big one. I'm Tim Watts, BamaOnLine.com publisher. With me is recruiting extraordinaire Andrew Bone, recruiting editor. We are the tag team at BOL that covers recruiting. And it's been quite the run, Andrew. When we get to this Sunday, we've seen the run in the past. We've seen what's leading up here last year, but Xavier Griffin, quite the roller coaster from a commitment to you. Felt like Bama, commit to USC, opened it back up, and they just won a dogfight for one of the best athletes in the country.
Yeah, I mean, what a recruiting win for Alabama. And even though this is a kid who grew up an Alabama fan, it's not like he committed to Alabama last summer. He committed to USC, and that was a tough recruitment. And he was committed to USC for almost a year. Decommitted in mid May after a lot of schools were really pursuing him. USC did not want him to take any visits at all. He wanted to do so decided to reopen his recruitment. And obviously USC is a school that was going to give him a sweet NIL package, but there were some other schools that were willing to do the same as well, and he knew that. He knew that what his stock was, a five-star recruit: Ohio State, Alabama, Texas, Florida State, even Georgia, who was eliminated. All were pushing hard to try to flip him away from the Trojans, and reopens things, takes his visits, and today he's a commitment to the University of Alabama.
Yeah, again, Xavier Griffin commits to Alabama. Big one on so many different levels. First of all, USC's success in committing kids, very dedicated with their NIL offers. They've had a lot of success in landing kids, really good football players. They have a great class. So to get him to decommit because he wanted to take visits was huge. And I'll tell you, Christian Robinson, we've said this name, and we're going to keep saying it because he builds relationships. Even the guys he doesn't end up getting, I think, have a hard time telling him no because they like him so much. It's kind of funny. Auburn fans kind of were laughing when Alabama hired Christian Robinson, but he has been tremendous back-to-back classes. Getting maybe, I mean, Justin Hill's one of the best prospects they had in that class last year that was loaded, and Xavier Griffin's for sure going to be one of the best in the class that we think will be loaded as well.
Yeah, I mean, everybody you talk to about Christian Robinson, just really impressed. From Justin Hill last year, even Dawson Merritt, who ended up going to Nebraska. I mean, you listen to what he had to say about C. Rob, along with his parents. I mean, they were just blown away by him and had such a great relationship. Then into this year's class with Xavier Griffin, he really had Kamari Brooks thinking, a guy that was 5 minutes away from the UGA campus. I
Yeah.
mean, he almost went to Alabama because of the relationship with C-Rob. But, we talked about this over the last month or two. We felt like Alabama was going to land one or the other between Brooks and Griffin. Didn't know which direction it was going to go, as all these schools were really pressing hard to get both of these kids. It seemed like at one point there might have been a better shot with Brooks, even with Griffin growing up an Alabama fan. But as you mentioned earlier, it was kind of a roller coaster. That trip to Ohio State, it was the first official visit. Ohio State felt really confident after that trip, as I feel like Ohio State feels confident after every
They are
single
very, very
official visit
confident.
weekend,
Very, very confident.
regardless of where the kids end up going. And then he ends up taking the visit to Alabama on June the 6th. And I think that June 6th visit really kind of opened his eyes even more about Alabama because of the family aspect. His grandfather works in Tuscaloosa. His mom is a diehard Alabama fan. They were all in town. And it was the first time they had visited since last football season. It had been a long time since they had been on campus. So they had a lot of fun. There were some big commitments that were in Tuscaloosa that weekend, including Jordan Edmonds, his teammate Jamarian Matthews, and Kamarian Johnson. Those guys are all friends. They've known each other. They were around each other the whole weekend, and I think the comfort level in Tuscaloosa, really paid off
Sure.
in this recruitment.
Yeah, and I mean, you look, despite it being an Alabama connections, which certainly helped. C-Rob kept that fire stoked. He kept it kind of heated. Bama was always in it to some degree. We knew if he decommitted or took visits, Alabama was expected. In fact, there's a couple times we thought he was coming and ended up changing his plans at the last minute. I think USC had a factor in that. But despite all of that, he still made a business decision. When people hear business decision now, and rightly so, they go straight to the NIL, right? But it's more than that. I mean, there's playing opportunity at Alabama. You know what I mean? You get one guy, he'll be the only wolf in this class. A lot of us compare him to Jahad Campbell, a guy that could project inside or project outside. That versatility, come off that edge. Texas pushed really, really hard for him. Had talked to him about an edge, be playing off the edge, but at 6'3", 205, probably a little bit of a recruiting move there. But a guy that, again, Alabama beat some of the best for this kid. And, I know how excited the staff has. Before we continue, the obligor, we would like for you, I was about to say a word, I got tongue tied. We would like for you to give us a thumbs up and a like. If you enjoyed the content, let us know. There's that thumb. How do you say no to that thumb? And all y'all that have, give us thumbs up and like and left comments. We appreciate y'all so much. Thank you. And that's not the way.
Embrace the thumb.
That is not. We're not doing that motion. We're just we're going to different levels. But we appreciate y'all being here. We have a good time. Y'all can find us on the round table. That thing is thumping nonstop this time of year. Recruiting's on fire. We're going to lead into the team stuff. Charlie Potter, Blake Byler will be jumping in there as well. So join us on BamaOnLine.com if you want. It's $1 for the first week. Andrew, let's continue. You get this battle. We've seen these guys start to pick up. We saw it last year. Keelan Russell, all the way to AK Deer. We saw the majority of the class. Xavier, though, kind of was, as big a name as he is, it feels like it's been extremely quiet until we really dropped that RPM and crystal ball for him Friday. It kind of just blew up, but nobody was really talking about this guy.
Yeah, I mean, that's a kid that has enjoyed the official visits. I mean, he was pretty tight-lipped throughout the process because he was committed to USC. Alabama tried to get him back on campus for Junior Day back in February, on February the 1st, and they went and saw him twice in January, and I think there was a lot of momentum on Alabama's side, and then USC was able to kind of squash that visit to Alabama, got him back out to Los Angeles that weekend instead, and then it was kind of quiet for the next few months. But then, as the spring contact period hit, that was one of the first stops for Alabama. C-Rob went and saw him, and then Courtney Morgan and C-Rob went back, spent a lot of time with him. And then shortly after that, he decides to reopen his recruitment, took the visits. And after each visit, I mean, they were pretty open with reporters, after each trip, as far as the team site reporters, had a lot of praise for each school. So it was really kind of hard to get a solid read. I don't think any of the staffs had a really good read. We talked to some people at Texas who felt like they were in a very comfortable position, based on, a financial factor as far as NIL. They felt like they had put together a really good package, but Alabama just continued to recruit. Did not limit him to just playing the Wolf position. They look at him as a guy, as you mentioned, versatility, can play inside, can play outside. He's, over 6'3", 205, 210 pounds. You look at him in, 2 years, 3 years, this is a 230, 235 pound guy, potentially even bigger, coming off the edge, or potentially, playing on the inside, a lot like first round draft pick Jahad Campbell. And I think that's something that they really talked to him about during his official visit. Really, stood out to him, something that he really enjoyed hearing, and something that he can see himself doing here in the future.
One thing we've talked about, we need to keep reiterating this, is that the Alabama staff, I think a lot of coaches can connect with the players, the prospects they're recruiting. What we feel like the Alabama staff does a great job of is connecting to the people around that. In this situation, the grandfather, the grandmother, the mom, everybody kind of felt at home. And we've seen those videos and we've seen the reports. I've never seen so much positivity from, not that the prospects are going to have a good time. I mean, you're getting a free flight, steak, lobster, pretty girls, your jersey, the photos, but it's the people that come with them they seem to connect with. And we noticed this on their first spring, where all those kids rolled in. The very first spring, me and you were kind of blown away. It was like triple figure people coming through, and all the reviews were good. And it's easy to miss a handshake or a high five or a say hello and offend somebody, but they do such a good job of relating those guys. Kalen DeBoer is a personable guy. We think that's legitimate. Courtney Morgan does a good job. Christian Robinson, all of these coaches pitch in to recruit the families.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Coach DeBoer, very personal guy. I mean, that's a coach that has built a lot of great relationships with a lot of these kids. You talk to them, throughout the process, whether it's official visits or back in the spring or even junior days. And, it's never really about, recruiting kids to Alabama. It's about, talking to these guys about, what they like to do off the field, learning about who they are as a person rather than learning about them as a football player. Because if you're recruiting a guy, you've extended an offer, you're putting in the effort to bringing them in for an official visit. You pretty much know everything there is to know about them as a football player. Now it's you're trying to get the mental aspect of them. You're trying to get to know them more on a personal level, and that's what Alabama's been able to do. But also building those relationships throughout the process, and they really kind of zone in on the guys that they feel like really fit the mold of an Alabama football player. And when they're around on these official visits, they have all these freshmen, sophomores. We even see a lot of seniors that are around spending time with a lot of these recruits. And Sunday, Monday, Tuesday after these official visits, those players are talking to the coaches and telling them, "Hey, this is a guy who can play here. We spent time with him. We know, a little bit more about who he is. Does he like to goof off? Does he not take things serious? Is he going to come into this program and work hard and be successful?" We believe that he can. So that's a big selling point for the coaches when these kids come on campus and talking to the current players.
And how do you replace Nick Saban, which is almost impossible? It takes a village. And you see everybody from the back offices to the people setting up to the visits. I know you can't do cookie cake, but lining up any little treats you get. The photos are fantastic. The graphics are fantastic. The videos are all good. This staff knows how to recruit. And again, Xavier Griffin, 5-star, big one. One time it felt like, really good chance. One time it felt like a long shot. And for Alabama to land him's an absolutely massive one. And they've been on a little bit of roll. We're expecting we might see y'all again a few times this week. But Andrew Bone, before we get out of here, tell them what your last thoughts are.
Well, first off, I want to give a shout out to everybody who has commented below in our videos the last couple of weeks, worried about Alabama not landing any 5-stars or top 100 kids. Because guess what? They're starting to arrive right now. You can't say much anymore. This staff's doing a hell of a job. They talked about it a month ago. They were going to start the summer rain. When was the rain going to start? The rain has officially started with these big commitments that they've been able to get over these last few days. And you never know what this class may look like in a week or two. Could it be top 3? Could it be number 1? We'll have to wait and see. But a lot of great momentum for Alabama. Job well done so far by this coaching staff. But we're going to have it completely covered, in depth on BOL. We're talking every day, nonstop on the BOL Roundtable, our premium message board. So get bored, come talk to us, and we'll tell you everything that's going on.
Absolutely. We got more commitments coming up this week. We're expecting to see y'all again. We hope everybody has a good rest of their Sunday, and we will see you soon. Roll Tide.